Hello and welcome to Round 6 review of Footy Chat, the Round 7 preview. It's the Easter round. It's been a big week of football. I must admit, though, I haven't really watched much of it.
Why is that, Woodsy?
Well, it's not because it was Easter. It's because WrestleMania weekend.
It was.
So I spent my time watching wrestling and watching a little bit of footy, but St Kilda losing that way that they did, I didn't really watch much of it. And so in our weekly recap, I'm going to have very limited to say, but if you do enjoy reading up on what I think, always check out the weekly recaps and previews.
Yep, on the
However, something else that we do weekly is look at photos. Now, this week's photo, I think, having the Easter theme, the Good Friday feel to it. It is from the Good Friday North Melbourne versus Carlton match. You haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
I want you to have a guess of what it could be.
I'm thinking of something clearly linked with the Good Friday appeal. Maybe both teams are sort of represented in one way, whether it's the players or the fans or something like that. That's sort of what I'm envisioning. Is
okay,
what could come
I'll
out
cut
of
you off
affair.
there because if you're envisaging is wrong.
Okay, good.
So I'll give you another guess. It's to do with Carlton.
Oh, it's Carlton specifically. Okay.
Yes. So if you can't think, give me 10 seconds. Just have a look.
All right, here we go. What have we got? Oh, it's Michael Bossern is on the press conference.
If you didn't watch the Carlton press conference, I suggest you go back and watch it. It was a bit of a softer side of Michael Voss. He wasn't really as hard, and he was asked, do you have any pets? And talking about bunnies, and it was an amazing humanization of the coach where you don't usually get. So
no,
I thought last minute I was like, we don't have a photo, and luckily enough, I thought back to this moment, and I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to have this photo. And so, once again, it didn't happen out on the ground.
No.
During the game or a fan. It happened after the game in the rooms, press conference. But there's another photo this week from Local Footy. Before you switch it over, on Good Friday.
Yep.
Blackburn played Bowen.
I was going to say this is a big credit Mark Woods, is it?
Yeah, this is one of my photos. It's why posts are dangerous. So if you'd like to switch over now.
Yeah. I was confused what you meant by post. So my immediate thought went to social media, and no, this is the goal posts.
Yeah, it was action on him, and then his teammate. Blackburn teammate comes in, kicks a goal, and then I'm focused on him. While he's lying out on the ground, I should have posted that one as well, but I just thought, why are they dangerous? So
gotta be careful with those posts.
That's this week's photos, but as I'll take this cap off and just place it right next to yours so it matches it. I usually have a no caps policy. And we go into the round 6 recap, review, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And our thoughts will be on tonight, as they are every Wednesday night, and our previews will be up there as well, so stay tuned to that. Now, first of all, we had Brisbane-Collingwood. We're just going to run through these. Collingwood did well to neutralise the Lions, and the Chautauqua Lions were not to be seen on Friday.
They were not there, and they didn't feel like at any point in that game they would really be coming back in that second half.
There was a lot of emotions in that game that I saw. It's one game that I actually did get to see. And then on Friday, Good Friday. I just realised Brisbane-Collingwood, I did see that because I was working it. But the North Melbourne versus Carlton, is this the 2025 Carlton that they've finally decided to shot?
They do play North and West Coast a couple more times, I saw. So, twice each. So they played them twice this season. So, as I was saying to Josh, both on and off air during the Darts podcast, and you see a little bit more of Carlton, a bit more consistently and against better opposition. Now, to be fair, the sort of, you haven't played anyone isn't exactly fair to the football club because they don't get to decide the fixture. They just play the team they play each week. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves yet on Carlton. They've had two good performances against much lowlier opposition, and we'll see how that goes. They've got a big test this week against the other blue and white team.
Yes,
Navy
indeed.
blue and white team, that is.
Now, West Coast Essendon, I just went, don't don't sleep on West Coast.
No.
They will make you pay,
especially
and
at
especially
home.
in the West.
With the long
West.
travel over there. It wouldn't be surprised if they just pick up a couple of surprise wins throughout the year and sort of
Essendon got
rattle
away.
teams like Essendon. They got away with that one.
Like they were, I think, 28 points down, won by 2. You should have won by 28 points at the minimum. Melbourne Fremantle, I've got to say that I was wrong. I said in the preview that Fremantle win this, move along. But did not watch the game. But
no, I sat down and watched a lot of this actually.
But the pressure's not off Melbourne and Collingwood.
It's not.
Goodwin.
Yeah,
So.
I wasn't planning to watch as much of this match as I did, but then Melbourne just sort of jumped out of the blocks all of a sudden, and that they looked a much more fired up outfit. So I actually sat down and watched a lot more of this match. For Fremantle, though, these are one of these teams, and there's quite a few teams, you could throw Carlton and others into the mix, where they probably should be higher up on the ladder or sort of have done better in previous seasons with the list they've got and the people around there than they really have in recent times. So Fremantle's an interesting watch. We obviously forget about them a bit out here in Melbourne, but they're a team that probably should be a bit higher up and really shouldn't be losing to Melbourne, even though it's a long travel, obviously, for them as well, coming out from Western Australia. But yeah, good win is fine for now, and hopefully the effort continues to be much better for Melbourne in coming weeks.
We have Adelaide and GWS. Did not watch this game. Low scoring affair. GWS a BKI, BKF.
Yes, back kicking is bad football. There were a couple of teams in there, but to be fair, it was the conditions certainly didn't help. Much like that Hawks game down in Launceston, the conditions probably didn't suit the teams for a competitive and high-scoring match, which they probably would have done if the conditions were a little better. But nevertheless, Adelaide are hard to beat at home. No, it's not for every team to beat Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. So the Crows, they were better throughout the majority of this match. They just handled the conditions out there a little bit better.
Richmond and Gold Coast. And the Gold Coast, the Dimmock curse continues with Marvel Stadium and BKA, BKF.
Yeah, wow. This is not. I don't think anyone really had this in mind. I think this was even beyond big calls. These were massive calls. If you thought that the Tigers could beat the Suns, they continue to struggle a little bit more.
I had Gold Coast as part of the 14.
You did. Big call for Richmond to win. That is so. So Harwick still doesn't like going to Dock Lads, and how amusing it was that Richmond. Over Gold Coast at Damon Harwick's least liked venue. It just continues to. It's just he'd rather just never go there again. That's going to be the one thing when his time as coaching finally comes to an end, whenever that may be. He can sit back and go, I don't need to ever go to Marvel Stadium ever again.
Sydney Port Adelaide, BKF, BKA. Back kicking is bad football.
Back kicking is bad football. Just go with that. Yeah, this was another one that was perhaps not quite as surprising, but it sort of got forgotten about. But the last couple of weeks, they've shown more effort, and Ken Hinkley's got them going. If they play like the way the last couple of weeks they have, they're still very much a finals team. It's just will we see consistently over the rest of the season.
Indeed, and it was. I don't really want to talk about this one. Western Bulldogs St Kilda. Yeah, they were just comfortably better throughout most of this game from what I saw on the Sunday night, and they're a step ahead of really where the Saints are at the moment. And the Bulldogs are. It was a 7:20 game. 7:20 game on an Easter Sunday evening, which is a sort of weird time slot, but I'm all for it. I don't mind those that sort of Sunday night time slot. It's probably underutilized. I was working this one, and so it was like, watch it. Started not to pay attention, look back at the scores. Oh, we're another 2 goals down. Oh, okay. And that was just the way of the night. So unfortunate for us, but that's football. Yep, but I thoroughly enjoyed this match, Geelong Hawthorn. It was a fun match, an entertaining match, despite the fact that the kicking, we talk about kicking is bad football, but it wasn't just the kicking of goals. Some of the kicking in transition from both teams was really woeful. But Hawthorn, their mistakes were more costly. Geelong were able to take opportunity of those mistakes. Manor had that goal right near the end of the game, which basically sealed it. Great game. Smith, Holmes, Manor, Atkins, Dangerfield, all impressed in particular, I thought. Manor, he had a very interesting, he kicked 3 goals, but he had a couple of shocking moments. Dempsey as well, I thought played well at important moments. So Geelong win against another team that is right up there. Currently sitting, I think, 6th on the ladder. Those couple of losses have hurt us a little bit, but it was a very strong performance.
127.5 on the percent as well. So I'm quite happy with what happened on that Monday afternoon. It was a very good watch as a Geelong fan for the most part. Led throughout pretty much the entire match. I think there was only about 2 or 3 minutes where we were behind.
Now, I don't have a Woodsy rant this week because,
You don't have one?
stated, I wasn't really paying much attention to the football. My attention was elsewhere. However, I think it's enough to do with the level of kicking, the level of the quality of the kicking.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go into too much around. Instead, we're going to go straight into the horse race. And we're going to go through the first 5 rounds
we'll
very
go through 5
quickly.
rounds
We're
very
not going
quickly.
to.
Here we go. Richmond got off to a good start, and then it just hasn't gone their way in the week since.
And Richmond just decided to walk on the fence. But round 5, as you can see, there's been a Melbourne
Were well out the back.
All 3 back markers actually had a decent game.
They did.
And then you look
2-1.
at the front. I think this front might be. Just look at the front there, and then if you move to
Here we go. Here's this week's edition. Here we go.
It kind of evens. I feel like this is balanced now. So you go. Can you go back to week 5 or round 5? You see St Kilda were there. Now you go back.
Hang on. Here we go. Sorry. There we go. This is 5.
5, and then you go to week 6.
Yep. This thing's bouncing all over the place. Where's 6? Here we go.
5 and then week 6.
So St Kilda pull back.
St Kilda pull back. Put Adelaide and Bulldogs are just moving ahead of them. I feel like this is where you're kind of splitting it up. You've got obviously Eagles, North Melbourne. Eagles
Still the way people
were
are.
respectful, but Melbourne finally just started to move a little bit. Carlton started to move a little bit. Richmond just holding their position. I feel like, Essendon, Fremantle, St Kilda, Port Adelaide are in that group, and then you've got Sydney Bulldogs in that next lot of group by themselves. Then Brisbane Gold Coast, then Giants, Hawthorn, and then at the front it's Adelaide Giants, Adelaide Geelong, and Collingwood. So that is the horse race for this week.
Yes, it's. I think once again you've pretty much hit the nail on the head there for the most part. Happy to see the Cats out there in front.
Now I know you haven't seen the Bad Kings Bad Football Wall of Shame for this week. How many teams do you reckon I've put on?
Ooh, that's a good question. Probably maybe 3 might be there.
Okay, well,
3 or 4.
Let's just go to it.
Here we go.
See
How many
teams we got?
It is 4. Alrighty.
So Gold Coast Suns, Giants,
Hawks.
Hawthorn, and Sydney. Now, the reason why Giants 4-10, Adelaide, you got out of jail with 7-10.
Yeah.
But Giants 4-10 is inexcusable. I don't care if it's windy. Come on. Gold Coast Suns 9-15. Self-explanatory.
We had some
Sydney,
good weeks the last couple of weeks, and this week they let us
10-17.
down. Yeah.
And then Hawthorn 11-13. Not bad. Probably respectable if you just look at the final score.
Yep.
However, in the first quarter,
Yeah.
in the first quarter, Hawthorn were, as I'm trying to get this to confirm, 2-6.
Yeah, 2-6.
They were 5-10 at half time.
Yeah, 5-10 at half time as well. Yep. It was a bit of a hard watch because you were sitting there thinking this game could be closer, maybe should be closer.
I mean, you flip it 6-2, 10-5, 12-9, 13-11. 13-11's a respectable score, but no, 2-6 in the first quarter and 5-10 at halftime. Hawthorn are on the board as well. So if we go to the year, 4 new teams on.
Yeah, they're all new entries. All but Hawthorn, of course, are non-Victorian. So we're continuing. We might have, with the Giants and the Hawks, contenders for the flag, obviously.
A few teams got out of jail in terms of, as I said, Adelaide. St Kilda were almost there. 18-19 with the Doggies, but their kicking, they had so many shots at goal that bad kicking wasn't necessarily the factor. Your Cats were 12-14. It was not a pretty week, but kudos to Port Adelaide, 13-7, I reckon, and Richmond 12-8. So well done to those teams. As we move right along.
Yes, we do.
to the Volcano.
The Volcano this week is going to be laid straightly at a team that had an otherwise successful week in the Richmond Football Club. The big story of the week away from a footballing circumstance has been what's happened up in New South Wales, of all places, with Noah Balta's sentencing. My Volcano this week for Richmond. Now, it's a very difficult situation for them to handle with what was going on, but all they needed to do was wait 1 week. All they needed to do, everyone just needed to back off for 1 week, let the sentencing happen, and then move on. Playing him in the VFL was fine, but I just don't think you really needed. Did you really need to plant your flag and stick with this 1 week? Well, one game, a few days ahead of what the sentencing was, and now we know that he's going to be out for reasons of curfew because he can't play night games now. And the judge was asked, well, what about the football? The judge said, this is the punishment. You can't be out, Noah, from 10 to 6. I think it's 10 a.m.
It's not just night games. It's not just night games.
And it's interstate games as well. Yes, I should mention that. Why was the sentencing, by the way? The sentencing was in New South Wales, which I thought was weird, given...
So I just want to make something clear. I did think about this for Yoda rounds, but I wanted to steer right clear of this. You've just gone.
Yeah, I don't hold back from anything. I thought you might want to say it, but I'm going to plow straight into this. All Richmond had to do, again, very tough circumstances. They handled it badly.
I disagree with you. I'll have a stance on it. I don't.
Yeah,
I agree. Richmond should have.
They just needed 1 week. That's all they needed. One week.
I was unsure if we were actually going to discuss this, and that's why
I wanted to discuss this just briefly, more for anything, just to laugh at the fact he's out curfew, which is a very amusing read. So it's been written on.
He won't be able to play this week because obviously Melbourne played Richmond on Thursday night, Anzac Day Eve. But yeah, it's a tough one. I know some Richmond fans are unhappy, and some Richmond fans...
Don't get me started on the Richmond fans.
I know of a Richmond fan who actually said, you know what, I'm not supporting Richmond for the rest of the year.
Oh, wow.
I'm supporting...
So with the moral compass, that's rare in this league.
I'm supporting Western Bulldogs for the rest of the season. So good on them.
Yeah, fair enough.
Richmond, I'm not going to make any more comment on this, but I just feel like it was a...
Yeah, they just...
It's one that you don't want to touch with a 10-foot pole, but you're brave enough.
Yeah, I'm brave enough. Because I'm not going to... I understand that there's lots of different complexities to this, and we want to make sure that he's not completely ostracized forever. He can come back when he... certainly when he serves his penalty and we move on. I just felt like there was no real massive need to bring him back this week, with knowing that you were 3 or 4 days away or whatever it was from this situation coming up, and where you knew he may very well. Now, jail time was always a possibility; it was never going to happen. But when someone was under that sort of cloud, I don't think it was really necessary to bring him back this week in the AFL. He played well. I didn't watch really that game at all, but as far as the stats will go and people who watched the game, he was maybe even in the Brownlow votes, top 3 a field, shut down a king. But I just wasn't sure that this was necessarily the week, Richard, where you had to bring him in. You could have waited 1 week and then work him out from there. But as it is, they did. He was not unimportant in their win. He certainly was. But I just wasn't sure that this was the week to bring it back. And, of course, you had the Richmond fans online. I guarantee you, if he was a Geelong player, they would be losing their mind over that sort of thing.
I find it funny that you say, because he was in a team of the week. That was the biggest thing, like the SCN team of the week? Or
something like that, yeah.
I saw it online. I'm like, oh, that's actually interesting.
Yeah, because he played well which I mean, credit to him for playing well under those under tough circumstances. But I'm just not sure that Richmond or the AFL, to be fair, you basically had 2 different organisations with different levels of counts just trying to pass it back. Do you want to sack him? Do you want to say not play? Do you want to play? And in the end, he played, and he played well. But I just wasn't sure this was the week to plant your flag and say, yes, we support Noah Balta by playing him 3 days before he gets a charge for assault, which he admitted to doing because he pleaded guilty, and we've all seen the footage of it.
And, I've got nothing else to say on this. So if you've got nothing else to say, I feel like we just move along.
We'll move along. Rate or hate is
rate or hate. Now, before we start rate or hate, this week is obviously Anzac week. And as I said last week, Anzac Day round, or the Anzac round last week, I said this week we'll be looking back. And then next week's one will be looking at the weekends, who wore them. However, I went to Moorabbin today.
Yes, you did.
And I realised I hadn't actually ordered it, so I had to pick it.
There it is. It's a beauty.
Round.
This is a good one.
So I've actually got it. I love it. So I just thought, you've got your jumper there. I thought I'd...
Usually I'm either wearing it or placing it there, so there we are.
Yeah, it's a nice jumper.
It is nice.
We'll be rating that next week. However, we've got each of the week's matchups for the next 2 weeks. Oh, before I forget, I know it's
got one more
a footy jumper. But got to support Spud's game.
Of course.
So I had to
with
get
that
the
scarf.
jumper. I had to get the jumper, but I also had to get the scarf because they've released.
We're
the
loading
scarf
the
here.
desk with all sorts of Saints and Cats stuff here.
So I thought I'd show it off as well, and it's for a good cause. So,
Of course.
funnily enough, so next week it's round 7 this weekend, and then next weekend it's round 8, and then the weekend after is Spud's game for round 9. So the week after we do this weekend's Anzac Day games, we're going to go names on jumpers.
Yep.
And hopefully I'll have the Spud's game jumper to show off. So I look forward to that one as well. But before then, let's go into this week's matchups and also the jumpers from the past.
Alrighty.
So I've tried to go for ones that aren't going to be similar to the ones they're wearing this weekend. So first matchup is Melbourne and Richmond. So I've got to say,
And Melbourne one's a slightly more inspired design sort of thing.
I like the Richmond one for the sake of it has Morse code and it's just unique, but obviously Melbourne's. I rate these both, but if I was to choose, it would be Melbourne.
Yeah, absolutely. Melbourne agree with that one. Next one
is
Collingwood.
the traditional one. And
Essendon. Oh, yes.
Essendon have always...
This is what they should wear every year.
The poppy sash is just common, but this was the first iteration of the poppy sash. And so you can't go past it.
No, you can't go past it. I do like that
like
white one with the...
I do like how Collingwood did that. They had the black one the year prior, but I thought I'd go for the white one just to give it a bit of contrast.
Give it a bit of contrast. Give it that particular game, didn't it?
Essendon, hands down, and any year that they've got the poppy sash, I can't see Collingwood beating it.
No, they're going to have it every year because it looks good.
The next one, though, is Fremantle and Adelaide. And Fremantle, this is a no contest. So if you go to the next slide, it's a no contest.
Yes, Adelaide went
by a landslide. And Fremantle, this is the only Anzac Day jumper they've worn.
It's just got the
logo, which a few clubs have been similar to, but Adelaide love how they've got the bugler.
Yep.
Bugler, I can't even pronounce that, but they've got that in there, and they've gone for 2 designs this year. So we will see that one next week. Next one is St Kilda and Brisbane, and St Kilda have only worn designs in New Zealand, and so I had to go for this one. This is my favourite one that they've worn so far, and it will be obviously...
That is something. That's a little bit different to some of the other ones as well. Probably that they had to think about the fact that we're playing in New Zealand, obviously.
And then obviously Brisbane. I'm actually going Brisbane. Brisbane's ones. I could have chosen 10 different, not 10 different, but about 3 different designs, and I would have chosen Brisbane's. I would choose this one over Brisbane's, but Brisbane just really classy, really simple at the same time. So well done, Brisbane.
Yeah, that one wasn't always the greatest, but that one was.
The next one, it's a no contest again because the team actually didn't have one. It was North Melbourne.
Oh wow, North Melbourne.
So I just go to a port.
2.
And I don't know what it is about it, but I'm going that way.
Yeah, that V design is something.
It's something different. So yeah, that's the one I'm going with. The other one just has the lone soldier in the V.
Yep, right at the bottom there, that silhouette sort of thing, which does look terrible, but that
going on to the next
other
one.
V is interesting. Now, hello.
And the camo, the Giants camo that they've done every year. This one, I believe they played in Canberra.
Yep.
And you got the lone soldier.
Yeah, it's got Canberra because it's got that.
Yep. And then you got the Doggies one, which is the Anzac logo, but there were names in the red line.
Yep.
So,
which is barely visible there, and what
but you got you got the poppy as well, but we've got that.
GWS one wins hands down.
We've got Gold Coast, which wins hands down, and then we've got Sydney, just the basic one. But Gold Coast have been really superb with theirs, and they've been superb again. The stealth poppy for this year, but this one really nice. I like how they've kind of integrated a Gold Coast jumper and made this design.
Yes. With that, with the typically it's just a yellow, sort of yellow stripe down the side, but they've mixed it up obviously with a different way of doing it.
Now, next one, and this is the extra time clash for the weekend.
Yes, it is. Yep. Oh boy! All right.
So you want to walk me through these? Walk me through these.
Right. So we have Carlton, who this is their clash jumper, which wasn't ever amazing.
Can you tell me what game they played this? This jumper in?
What year? This is probably around this is probably around the sort of early to mid 2010s because they I remember the most famous
it was
time they wore that.
2015.
2015. I was going to say 2015. The most famous time they wore that sort of jumper was 2013 when they played Port Adelaide at the last game of Footy Park and made the finals.
You won't be able to.
And then
can you pick where they play this jumper?
This one,
no,
Geelong's one.
Carlton's.
Didn't you say 2015? Oh, where they play?
Where?
Oh, well, I mean, was it some sort? It can't be the most obscure venue ever because it's Carlton. So it's not going to be out Canberra or anywhere, or the Northern Territory, or was it? Was it at one of those two? Was it Canberra?
It wasn't Canberra.
It wasn't Canberra.
If you go back to the St Kilda one, St Kilda
New Zealand
team,
was it?
Yeah,
New Zealand.
St Kilda,
okay.
St Kilda wore that jumper and Carlton wore
that
this one.
Oh, there you go.
So it was in New Zealand and Geelong.
I like our one for this year, but
I've got to go Geelong just because they've got the stuff on the back is a bit more.
They've done a bit more with it.
I mean, it's simple.
This was 2023.
Both of them are pretty basics, to be real. So I'm going Geelong if I have to pick. Next one. And I think you know which one I'm going here.
Yes,
Hawthorn.
this is clearly Hawthorn.
Really,
the Lone
really
Soldier.
good. And then you've got like stuff there.
Yep.
It's really.
They probably didn't need. They could have gone all the way across with that H instead of having that box stick out with the Tasmanian logo. But anyway, yeah, definitely better done there than the Eagles.
And then the Eagles have just gone the basic one. So that is for. Is there any others? No.
I think that's it. This should be
rate or hate this week. Next.
Now.
Before
go
we
next
go
week.
to Lorenzo's history lesson, we're going to.
We'll go. This is part of
Last week you brought this up, and so I decided to buy some on eBay. I got 4 2000s packs and 4 2002 packs. What we're going to do is quickly open them.
Yep.
And we're going to open one pack at a time. So if you would like to grab your corresponding one, and we're going to go through them, and we're basically just going to say who we got and which pack of the two. So we got four matches basically of. And
we
trying to open. Oh, I've got a. I
got Daryl White of Brisbane first. Is that Daryl? That's interesting.
Roddy Burns.
Yep. I've got Kane Johnson of Adelaide. So some of these names are not going to remember.
I don't know if you got this as well, but I got Wing Grand Final tickets.
Oh, really? For what year?
For 2000. So, entries closed 27th of July 2000. So
you just missed.
I think you've got one as well at the back.
Oh, right at the back. Here it is.
But I've got Ronnie Burns.
Yep. Here we go. Fabian Francis. I don't know him. Oh, I know this guy, Luke Darcy.
I got Craig McRae.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's good.
I got
Craig. I've got Craig Bradley. That's a name I know.
I got Darren Jarman.
Oh yes, you're definitely in front of
Jared
me.
Malloy.
This is Richard Taylor of Hawthorn.
I got Brad Wirra of Fremantle.
Michael Martin of North Melbourne.
I got Stephen Alessio of Essendon. I got Adam Uze of Melbourne. So I've got actually two coaches.
I'd definitely rather your one.
And then I have Barnaby French of Port Adelaide. So
I know more names in your pack.
So first pack, and this is the thing as well. How many personalities that you would actually know? So we've got 2, Adam Uze and Craig McRae.
Yep.
I'm going to open the second one.
Who's my most famous player in here? Darcy's probably the most recognisable.
Have you got Luke Darcy?
Yes, I do.
So let's get him out as well. I just want to have the media personalities and the coaches in up and about, and then. I've seen one of them, and it's a really nice card. So I'm really glad I got this.
Right.
I got Paul Williams.
Oh wow! Okay.
Nick Holland Paul Williams, Collingwood. Nick Holland from Hawthorn. Adam Fletcher from Fremantle. Matthew Richardson, All Australian card.
Oh wow! Okay.
No, so it's a Matthew Richardson and it has All Australian. Okay, so it's not just a All Australian card. But Matthew Richardson, Matthew Allen of Carlton. I got Joe Masiti of Essendon, Darren Creswell of Sydney, and then I have a holographic Robert Harvey.
Oh yes.
So Robert Harvey of St Kilda, I'm really pleased with that. So
Nick Stevens,
I'd say
Andrew
another 2.
I
mean Robert Harvey is a well known.
Thompson, Scott Wind, Dale Kickett. Oh, Gary Hocking. That's the name people will know. Drew Banfield and Stephen Paxman.
Some people we don't know now. We're going into 2002.
This is exciting, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It's looking at the styles, the old logos. I got Mark Bickley.
I'm struggling to open mine. Hang on.
I got Adrian Hickman. Oh, sorry, Mark Bickley of Adelaide, which is you should know.
Yes, I know. I'm familiar.
Darren
with the
Hickmott
name.
from Carlton.
Damn it.
Justin Kazitsky from St Kilda. Matthew Carr from Fremantle. Darryl White from Brisbane. Peter Bell from Fremantle. Another Matthew Richardson.
Oh, wow.
I got a West Coast logo card, and I got Jonathan Hay. And I just look at the logo card. You got the team list.
I'll grab mine. For this one.
Very light. Just going through this. So you're watching us open packs live on Footy Chat as part of last week's Lorenzo's. You got to kind of yeah.
Yeah, can you do these for me?
Yep. So while I just open, I mean,
I'm struggling.
it's like once you learn how to open a footy pack card,
Oh, I opened
you
the
do
first
that,
two now.
you do that,
Yep.
and then you pull.
Yep.
So there. It's
Thank you
very,
very much.
very interesting to know. Like once you learn how to open footy packs, it never goes
I
away.
haven't opened many.
So then,
Right, this is German CD. Exclusive, apparently. Oh, yep. Peter Matera. Oh, these cards is interesting. Texture, Kane Johnston. Byron Pickett. There's a few that are really stuck to each other. Oh, that's Chad Corns.
no Cancons. Oh,
No Kane Corns, I'm afraid. Sean Hart. And there's Byron. And
So I got
these ones
Nathan
are the last-
Buckley.
Oh, Dustin Fletcher.
Nathan Buckley,
Nigel Smart.
Brad
Oh, this is
Shaw,
a whole. There's a list of Fremantle
Mark
players.
McCurry,
And North Melbourne.
Darren Hart,
Fitz, Adelaide, Tyson
Mark
Edwards, Wayne Campbell, and
Chris-
Leon Cameron.
Oh, nice. So I got Nathan Buckley, Collingwood.
Oh, Nathan Buckley.
Brad Scholl from Geelong. Mark McCurry from Essendon. Darren Holm from Carlton. Mark Chaffee from Richmond. Chris Massey from Adelaide. Adam Simpson from North Melbourne. I got a Geelong team list, and I got Paul Williams.
Yeah, I've got a couple of team lists.
But I think,
Adelaide,
funnily enough, hold on. I think I got Paul Williams.
Roos.
Hold on, let's just have a look here. So Paul Williams, I got Paul Williams twice.
Yeah.
From the 2000 and the 2002, but he got traded. So I've got one for him playing for Collingwood, and then I got another. The 2002 card is him playing for Sydney.
Ah, there you go.
So-
That's something.
Very nice. It does take me back, though. There are names that I would have no idea if you asked me, who's this player? Who did he play for? But I like it. And so that was partly due to last week's Lorenzo's history lesson. When he brought in footy cards, I thought, why not actually get some vintage cards, so 2000 and 2002, and see who was in it. It's interesting to see the names and all of the coaches that have gone on. Obviously, their name.
Doesn't I do that? A lot of these
a lot of
coaches,
nobodies, but there were some that were well known, and that was last week. So I have to ask, what is this week's history
This week,
lesson?
I am going to talk about. We know obviously that this week, or of course we can't forget, we must redeem our grand final orders. We this week obviously we have Collingwood and Essendon playing at Anzac Day, and I think it's fairly well known that this hasn't always been the case. It hasn't been this since the dawn of time. 1897 they're playing on Anzac Day. As a matter of fact, they weren't playing on Anzac Day. It's still fairly recent in league history. Not until I think it was 1960 or 1961 was the first time any actual game. 1961 was the first time that any games were played on Anzac Day. So obviously they only played on a Saturday, and if Anzac Day fell on a Saturday, they'd have the week off and come back the next week. So it effectively became a bye round. So there was I think there was a law put in place that said you couldn't really do much of anything. Once that Act of Parliament came through and said it sort of lifted previous restrictions on what could be done on Anzac Day, you would be able to even think about playing football, though a donation of a portion of ticket sales needed to go to the RSL as part of this law, allowing people to do things on Anzac Day, allowing the VFL to play. So it scheduled 2 games, the league on 1961 at Windy Hill and Punt Road. And actually the VFA, given they weren't playing using the MCG, they actually had Sandringham and Moorabbin play the MCG, and they had a pre-match spectacle, not too dissimilar to modern Anzac Day matches, but it only drew about 14,000, which was about the same that the VFA crowds got on a Sunday anyway. They obviously played on Sunday, so they weren't. So that wasn't the most overarching success. But yeah, so so as far as I can tell, the first Anzac Day game at the MCG wasn't even in the V/AFL. It was Sandringham and Moorabbin in the VFA. They're very odd.
Good trivia question to have out there.
Yep. And so 1962-1967, instead of playing Premiership match on Anzac Day, the VFL arranged a Victorian team. So they're basically, there was the state of origin at the time, given that it was just the VFL team played against. So, but you basically had two VFL teams up against each other, sort of an A and a B team. They didn't draw the greatest crowds, just 15 and 20,000. But when we get to the 70s, that's when it really got it going. You got big crowds. So it was particularly at VFL Park. Plenty of games got played there. Carlton Essendon got 77,750 fans to VFL Park in 1975. And then in 1977, Richmond and Collingwood drew 92,436 to the MCG. So a lot of these marquee teams were already bringing big crowds on Anzac Day long before Collingwood and Essendon started playing each other year after year. In 1986, the two fun facts for you are first Anzac Day match was in the VFA. The second is in 1986, the league scheduled two games on Anzac Day as double headers at the MCG. Melbourne and Sydney played in the afternoon, and then there was a 30-minute break, and then North Melbourne and Geelong played under the lights. The total crowd was only 40,117, and with all the logistical problems, the league wouldn't try anything again until, of course, Gather Round came along and they played some double headers at the Adelaide Oval, which even now they've sort of spread out, and we've got that double header at Marvel Stadium coming up. So those are the two fun facts. So throughout the years, different teams will be playing on Anzac Day, and when we get to that famous draw in 1995, 30 years on this year, so the teams will be
they're really
marking that this
celebrating
year.
that.
Yep.
They've released, I know, the merino wool jumpers.
Yep.
And scarves, and they're celebrating that fact. So I'm excited to see. And they've got
will be.
Pretty sure they've got Lee Matthews and Kevin Sheedy involved in the
build up.
The build up, and so that should be a really good contest. So I'm excited.
Of course,
to see.
Matthews
I always
and Sheedy
look
were
forward
the
to
coaches at the time for those two teams when they played out that draw in 1995, and the tradition has continued ever since. Collingwood have 17 wins on Anzac Day in these particular matches. Essendon have 10 wins. There's been, of course, 2 draws, which was the first year and last year. So Collingwood come in with a head-to-head advantage of +7. And they've also had 19 Anzac medalists to Essendon's 10. So Anzac medal obviously awarded to the best player on the ground. And obviously now we get Anzac Day Eve match. So it's become a whole thing and an important round each season. We had the games out in New Zealand. They played games out in WA in particular, pretty much every year after the main match. And on Saturdays, you usually a few more games, Saturdays or Sundays. But the feature thing for 30 years has always been Collingwood Essendon, but it wasn't always that way.
It's exciting stuff. And we move along now to who can't win the flag. Have you got anybody that you're putting on?
Essendon, they were very, very close to me doing that. I think I might leave a beat for one more week. Here we go. Adelaide, Brisbane, Collingwood, Essendon, Freo. Let me go. Where was they? Yes, that's right. They lost by 10 points. Do I put something on Freo? It would require me to load this thing up and think about it a bit more. I didn't give this much thought, to be honest, coming into the week because I was mostly thinking about the Darts podcast, which we recorded and will be up.
Thinking more about darts and footy, I see how it is.
Should I put Fremantle up there? I reckon.
I don't think so, because I think you got to hold off. I think they're the whole team. Them and St Kilda.
I'll leave them for now, but they'll be in the spotlight with that Anzac Day match against Adelaide coming up. So strong opposition at home. We'll see how they respond. So I might leave them for this week, but I am looking at them. And even Essendon as well. So
I'd be going...
Anzac Day should be interesting for those two teams.
So I'd be going with Fremantle. And on mine, it's St Kilda Fremantle play the round after this one. Yeah. In round 8.
Round 8,
so Friday May 2nd too. At Marvel Stadium. I feel like this is going to be an indicator match for one of these sides.
Yeah.
They're both in that mid-range where you could be challenging. So right now, St Kilda sit 12th, Fremantle sit 9th. I don't think you can take the X. I don't think you can put a team on either.
Yeah.
Or an X on either. Granted, I have put it on Port Adelaide. I have put it on. Who else have I put it on?
We put it on Carlton, who've won a couple of games now, but they're still
So it's one of those
away
things
from
where
top 8 and 13th.
I think I put it on Essendon as well. So like they're 11th. So
Sydney could be another one
Kilda,
here. That's 14th.
St Kilda and Sydney are the two. Like St Kilda, Sydney, Freo.
Sydney's
the
another one.
3 teams. Sorry, that
Sydney this week they play. Yeah,
But
this is the right week. They play the Suns and then the Giants. So that's a.
I think
those
those are two
Giants
games
are at home.
where if you lose those two, you
Giants matches at home for the Swans.
got to really consider. However, we're going to move on to the heavyweight championship, and it's you see what I've done.
We probably could have just got rid of it anyway. Yes.
No. I've decided I'm going.
We're just going to stack them each week.
Going to stack them each week. Yes.
All right.
So
sure.
every
Why
time
not?
a new champion comes on, we're going to have the old champions logos just there as well, and they're just going to be like, "Yep."
We might end up with two or three of the same logo there. 2 or 3.
No, well,
times.
that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping that Brisbane win it again. If say if Essendon beat Collingwood and then however and Brisbane Lions get back to it, it's like well they've got 2 logos there, and then at the end of the year you can actually see the journey.
We'll see the journey as it was. Collingwood were superior on Thursday night, and we'll take the belt to Anzac Day in front of the big crowd that will gather
It's
at the
going to
Melbourne
be a really
Cricket
like
Ground.
WrestleMania-like matchup now.
It is.
So I'm excited to see this, and we will move along. We're a bit
time, making sure we get out of here in good time.
So we're focused on the time this week. We've got the big calls. Now, last week, let's just have a look at what they were. And 82,000 you went with, and it was a crowd
it was a bigger one,
of
more than
88,000.
Yeah.
So well done. And I went with
Which is
Gold
even bigger than I would have
Coast.
thought.
I went, was it Essendon and Carlton won?
Essendon only just won.
Essendon, Carlton won, and then I went Gold Coast and Freo, who both lost. So Fremantle lost to Melbourne by 10. Gold Coast lost to Richmond by roughly the same margin.
Yep.
And then Carlton thrashed, so it started to look good, but it didn't end up. But this week, we are going with, what are you going with?
I am going with a Geelong victory. I know a lot of Carlton fans might be a bit optimistic. I'm slamming this door. A Geelong win, not just any Geelong win. A Geelong win by at least 3 goals. The over-under is 10.5. So I'm expecting a bit more of a dominant performance from Geelong than the bookies will be willing to give you. So Geelong by 3 goals or more. And this week, I've got 2 so far, the last couple. So it was good to be on the board, but I'm hoping for a few more. And interestingly, I'm hoping that Geelong win by enough, and you're probably also hoping that Geelong win by enough.
Now that I've seen this, I'm like, I want Geelong to win by 17. I want Hawthorn to win by 80. And I want Port Adelaide to win by 70, and it'll be great. But no, I've gone Port Adelaide, Geelong, and Hawthorn to win by 150 plus.
These combination ones, they haven't really worked for you.
I know. I want to keep going. I'm going to keep going for combination.
Mind you, last week we did say we looked at what you had. Like we might go back to it. Oh, we did have a look at these last week and go, yeah, these should be all right for you. But 2 of them didn't even win. Yes.
That's sometimes the way. I might be going this way for this, so then it's like, okay, well, North Melbourne have a win, Carlton have a win, West Coast have a win.
When he was struggling to pick up any wins in the Premier League, I just predicted Stephen Bundy to win basically every week 6-5. You should just keep going with these wins 150 plus until eventually one of them lands.
I'll just include St Kilda in it one week, and that'll be the weekend that it hits. But nah, I've got these 3, and that is that for big calls for this week. As we just look ahead to the matchups.
Now, we should also remind everyone of the standings in the Extra Time Cup, because Geelong and Carlton at the bottom are guaranteed to get, 2 points, maybe 4, depending on how it goes.
They're going to get some points on the board.
Yes.
So we're excited to see, and it's going to start a few more.
We've got a few more matches. We wrote them right down the bottom.
I think we got St Kilda Carlton in round 9.
We got the Pies and the Blues, obviously, in between on round 8. Yeah, so the next 3 weeks
Cats will have two good chances to get points on the board.
Yes.
And then after round 9, it dries off for a few weeks, because round 15 after that, Saints Pies, then Blues Pies, and then St Kilda Geelong.
Yes, so the Extra Time Cup will be heating up over the next 3 weeks. And we'll be interested to see how that goes for the right to claim this thing as I've knocked down both my screen and my scarf.
As we look ahead to the round 7 preview.
Myself, let's look ahead. Week ahead.
The week ahead. So first off, Melbourne Richmond. Let's just run through these very quickly. Give me a few words. Either team can win this.
Yes. But pressure will be on Melbourne if they lose this one.
Collingwood Essendon. I've got both teams are doing well, and both teams can win this.
Yeah, that's reasonably fair. The Collingwood will go into this game favourites, looking to make it +8 on the Anzac Day ledger.
Fremantle Adelaide. I have, if this was in WA, I'd be going. If this was
in SA.
No, if this was away, if Fremantle are lucky this is in WA.
Yeah, sorry.
I was going because of last week. So Fremantle should lucky this is in WA. If it wasn't, who knows?
Yeah.
I think Fremantle are only in this game because it's in WA.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
St Kilda Brisbane. Brisbane should win easy.
Oh, let's just hope things aren't all bad for you, Woodsy. There's some positives to take out of this.
Port Adelaide, North Melbourne. Port should win easy.
Yeah, I was thinking of like a 60+ Port Adelaide for my big call this week. That could easily happen.
GWS Western Bulldogs. This is another. It's a rivalry game.
Sorts, yes.
It's a rivalry game, and it's one that just keeps building. So obviously the 2016 prelim. There's been other instances.
Yeah, a few other finals.
They don't like it. Like doggies don't like GWS, and GWS do not like the Bulldogs. So it's going to be exciting to see this game. And then we move along to the Gold Coast, and Gold Coast Sydney. It's. Will Noah Fisher be up?
Yeah.
Noah Fisher's going. Shout out Noah Fisher if you watch this far. Well done. I think Sydney must win.
Yes. But it's going to be a tough task with Gold Coast at home, of course.
Yeah. And Gold Coast, obviously, with the Ford, it's going to be a tough one for Sydney to win as we move to Carlton Geelong. I'm
looking forward to this one. I'm just fingers crossed that it goes the way I'm hoping and even expecting it to. Geelong, obviously, a shorter break, but they're familiar with the MCG, of course, having just won there. And Carlton needing to prove themselves against better opposition. Now they've got an opportunity to do so.
I've got just Carlton. This is the true test for Carlton. Show us who you
100%.
are. And then Hawthorn West Coast. Can West Coast follow the Port Geelong mould? Perhaps, maybe. They nearly did it last week. Teams have been given the mould to defeat. They've been given the blueprints to defeat Hawthorn.
Yep.
So if they can follow that,
pressure and
they
on
should be able to do well.
On early.
Yeah, if you can defeat Hockball, I mean, the biggest question I've got is Hockball dead?
We probably need a few more weeks to tell whether to pronounce it or not.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting stuff, and we've got an exciting Anzac round of football, and it's going to be a good weekend. Friday's a big day with the Dots in Liverpool and the NFL draft happening at the same time. It's all happening this weekend. Well, that's it for this round, or this episode, I should say. Not this round. This round kicks off on Thursday night, Melbourne, Richmond. Hopefully, you can join us next week, and hopefully... will you be able to watch a bit more football? I won't be upset. I might be... I don't know. I'm at this stage, I'm not playing footy. Yep. I put myself as an emergency, so you never know. Of course. I realised that the game is scheduled to be on at the same time as St Kilda Brisbane. Oh, wow. So if I'm not listed, I will be heading to Marvel Stadium because I will actually be working after the game. Yep. So I might as well watch a footy game in between. But might as well. I will be rocking this as the team rocks it as well. And I'll look good, that's for sure. Along. But until then, keep an eye on our socials for anything we may post. Lorenzo will be posting a Volcanzo this week? Yes, the Volcanzo will go up online. It might be a little bit later than normal because I've got to get a few more photos and things written down. But yes, the Volcanzo will be up on extratimemedia.com by the end of tonight, no doubt. And stay tuned for tomorrow. There'll be an article written by myself, not AFL related. It is in the rugby union territory. Yes, you've been keeping an eye on this one. I'm excited to finally get my Extra Time article debut. Everything's there. We're ready to go, and we will see you next time. Bye. See ya.